Hi everyone, it's me, Hedda. It's lovely to see you again, and I'd like to wish you a very, very happy Yom Tov. It's a lovely day outside. It's been absolutely boiling today. You'd think it was the middle of summer, and yet it's only the middle of May. But, global warming, climate change, whatever you want to call it, the seasons are not what they were. Certainly not when I was a kid. Everything seemed so cut and dried then, didn't it? You had your definite spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And now we seem to have a hodgepodge of a little bit here and a little bit there, and nobody ever seems to know where they are. It's pretty much like that in life, really, isn't it? Right, well, I want to start off as I always do, and I'd like to welcome all the new people who have come to join us in the Haven. Welcome. I hope you'll be happy here. I hope you enjoy your time here. You will find us all very supportive, friendly, and a loving bunch of people. I would dare even to say I don't think you'll find a nicer bunch of people anywhere else on the internet, because I think we are the best ever. And if that's me having a bit of an ego trip, then, who can blame me, because I do have the best set of people everywhere. Right, well, let's get straight to it then this week, because I don't want to keep you hanging on. I certainly don't want to be talking to you for half an hour, because, I just get carried away and there is nobody to tell me to shut up. And, Heather, they've heard enough. So there's a couple of things that have come up that everybody is talking about. So, let's go for it. Let's talk about it. But unfortunately, I've got to bring in he who shall not be named, because he has, of course, inserted himself into the middle of this. And, insists that the person of the moment, James Charles, the person who shall not be named, is insisting that he is not a predator. And I'll go into that in a minute. But let's talk, because as Rich says, I think we need to talk. The person of the moment, because it's worldwide, it's viral, is James Charles. He, I feel, has not been, as the kids say, keeping it 100. He certainly hasn't. I feel that his apology to Tati was quite fake. I don't know where the tears were. If they were there, I certainly didn't see them. He probably had a good job rubbing his eyes before he came onto camera, but my gut, when I was watching him, didn't say to me that that was a real apology. I just feel, well, I was looking at his glasses, and I could definitely see something being reflected in what I would call his left-hand lens if I'm looking at him. So it would be his left-hand lens. And I'm looking at that, and I could see bits of white down below. So because I tend to be a little bit cynical, I'm of the opinion that he had a bit of a script going. Now, I have no call to talk. I live in a glass house. I don't have a script. People have said to me in the past, you should have a script. But for the life of me, I'll make a few notes, but it just comes all gushing out, and it might not be the right thing. So I'm on, a wing and a prayer half the time, aren't I, really? But the way things have unfolded, as I see it, is that Tati spoke her truth. It's obviously been boiling inside her for a while. You could see that as she was speaking. And then, James comes out and says he's so sorry to Tati and to her husband James, and he loves his mum and all this sort of thing. And then the following day, he's disrespectful to his fans by being 2 hours late for his meet and greet in Australia, where apparently what I've heard is they were in a mall that's in the open air. It's blazing sunshine, so the organisers had to organise bottles of water for people who were waiting to see him. And I think James got a bit of a shock because of the thousands and thousands he was expecting. to meet him, there were nowhere near that number. And from the videos that I was looking at that had been taken by people who were there at the scene, there were huge gaps where normally I would have thought it was going to be filled, like it was when he came to the UK and he brought Birmingham to a standstill. He was expecting that to happen again. He honestly believed that what happened in the UK was going to be represented wherever he went. And let's face it, you know, the guy's got a huge ego. And it's unfortunate that it's taken something like this to call him to a halt. But again, I'm cynical. I'm one of these people that I think, have you only apologised because you've been caught? Now, if that's me being cynical, tell me. If you feel his apology was genuine, tell me. Let's talk to each other. You know, let's get a discussion going and see where we go from here. Now, of course, he who shall not be named has said that James is definitely not a predator, because if anybody calls him a predator, they're tantamount to calling him a rapist. Now, I have never, ever heard anybody calling James Charles a rapist. Nobody's saying that. Only you know who is coming out with this rubbish. When they talk predator, I tend to think of something stalking its prey. I take it right back to its roots. And, you know, predator, you've got prey, you stalk it, you watch it, you gauge what it's going to do, you match it move for move, that sort of thing. Now, we've had, you know, the waiter that apparently James is supposed to have come on to. He's now come out of the woodwork and said what's happened. And there are lots of other people who have come out of the woodwork and saying things have happened who have proved to have been, you know, fake claims. And I am trying to look at this from our sort of perspective. As much as I don't like the lad, and I've never hidden that fact, I don't like him. But at the same time, I don't want any harm to come to him. I feel that Tati's mental health has taken a battering because she is getting it in the neck from Gabriel Zamora, who I feel is injecting himself into the drama to keep himself relevant. Because at the end of the day, what is Gabriel Zamora actually getting up to at the moment? Apart from being a model for Jeffrey, not a great deal. So he's a friend of James's. He's decided to go out there and defend him. But I think we'll find as time comes on that Gabriel really hasn't got all the facts at his fingertips. He thinks he does, but he doesn't really. Because I'll tell you why. He's not inside James's head. He hears what James tells him, but at the same time, he's not inside James's head. He can't see what's going on in there. He doesn't know what James is thinking. I mean, he would have to be a mind reader, and that's something that Gabby hasn't said that he can do. He's never said he could read minds. So he would have to get inside James's head to be able to find out how James was feeling, how James was thinking, what his mind processes were doing. Okay? And I'm trying to look at this from, okay, I don't like the boy, but he is losing subscribers by the millions. I think he's dropped nearly 3 million now. I think. Because he was at 16. Last I saw it was 13 and something. So whether it's gone further down from that since then, I just really don't know. I don't know. But he's going to be watching his subscriber count fall. Now, let's face it, it's not as if he's short of a bob or two. He has the millions he made from his Morphe deal. So I think losing YouTube views isn't going to bother him that much. It's like pocket money to him, okay? So that in itself won't be bothering him. What I think will be bothering him is the fact that he's losing subscribers at the drop of a hat. All his so-called friends are turning against him. They are dropping him like a hot brick. Literally all he has left is Gabriel Zamora for the moment, his parents and his brother. And basically that's where he started, but without Gabriel, obviously. He started out with his parents and his brother. They're from the East Coast. He went off to the West Coast, sidled himself up to Tati, and the rest is history. But I'm trying to put myself in his shoes. And I'm thinking, if I was James Charles, how would I be feeling right now? Angry? Resentful? Caught out? Trying to plan my next move? Deserted? Friendless? Relying on those few subscribers who still say, no matter what, James, we will always love you and we'll always be here for you. But is that going to be enough for him because of the size of his ego? And looking at it from a mental health perspective, I do worry tremendously about how a scandal like this is going to affect him. Now, he hasn't had the best 2019 so far. He's gone from one scandal to the next. Now, by anybody's standards, that's got to take a toll. He's 19, 20 years old. Now, you'll say, and you'll be quite right in saying this, what head of these scandals are all of his own making? And I would have to agree with you. They are of his own making. All of these things that are happening to James are of his own doing. He has got himself into these messes and he is going to have to get himself out because I don't think anybody else can help him. I tell you what I do think he does need. He's got this thing. He was talking to Shane Dawson and his fiancée about this in a makeup thing they were doing on a video. And James was saying that there is no challenge in just going for another gay guy or a guy who's bi or bi-curious. He wants to go for a straight guy because it's a challenge. And there is something not quite right with that. Now, I have a gay son and he's nothing like this. But I'm trying to get my head around it, trying to understand it and look at it from where he's standing. And I don't think wanting to try and turn a straight man gay is the right thing to do. Because if you pick on someone young enough who is just starting to find their way in the world, when they're just starting to examine their sexuality, to see which way the bread lands side up, if you get my meaning. All of us have been through, do we like boys, do we like girls, whatever. And then as we've grown older, we've realised exactly what we want and what we need. And we've settled for that and we've been perfectly happy. Some of us can change midstream. But you know what? That's great. I've always said, whatever you need, just go for it. Just, whatever makes you happy, just go for it, right? I am worried about James's mental health. I'm not sure how he's going to be handling all these scandals. And I do think he needs to see a therapist, and I think he needs to see one damn quick. I really do. I don't think this thing about this challenge of turning straight guys gay is a healthy one to have. I think we should get to the bottom of why he feels this way. I certainly think he needs to curb his tongue when he's talking about sex. Because he's, this is a difficult one for me, because for all I'm all for speaking your truth and having the freedom to say what you want, it's time and place, isn't it? You're not going to sit around, I mean, I'm certainly not going to sit around my kitchen table with you and ask you to talk to me about, your sexual history. And you certainly wouldn't ask me about mine, because it's not appropriate. And I don't know if James understands what's appropriate and what isn't. And if he doesn't, I'll lay the blame for that at the feet of his parents, because they should have taught him that. And they haven't done their job. And that's just me speaking as a mother. I don't know what his mother's like. I don't know what his father's like. But if this boy is going on and on about sex the way he does, and it is quite unhealthy, then his parents need to be taken into account. They need to take the responsibility for their son and what comes out of his mouth. Now, I know he's an adult. I know he's in charge of what he says. But you've got to look into the roots of where these things come from. And I think it's the only way that you can make changes. If you scrape everything right back to basics and find out exactly where things started, then surely that's a way forward to make, a healthy change, so that in future, James can find a partner, a boyfriend. He says he's never had a proper boyfriend. That's all he wants. But with the attitude he has, and this thing about, well, I'm a celebrity, I can have anybody, that to me is just a huge no-no. I can't understand anybody who'd want to go for him for that. So if he wants somebody genuine who loves him for him, I really do think he needs a really good dose of long-term therapy before he thinks about stepping into the dating pool. I don't know what you guys think, but this is just my opinion. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about that really, really annoyed me was seeing He Who Shall Not Be Named pick on my friend Gary of, Bipolar Corner, and telling him that, when Gary was asking him questions about why he was turning back to doing the drama videos again, because let's face it, guys, he's back at it again. He's never going to change. And nothing I say, you say, or no doubt the Lord God Almighty will say, is ever going to change Chris Boutte. He's never going to change. He has swapped an addiction to drink and drugs for making YouTube videos. That is by far the truth as I see it. And that is just my opinion. That is what he does. And whether he just can't help himself or whether it's just deliberate now, I don't know. But you know what? I really do think he doesn't care anymore. He doesn't really care what his audience thinks. And he told Gary, I'm not going to answer you because I've got you on mute. And then Gary said, you've got what? You've got me on mute. No, I didn't say that. Well, yes, actually, I did say that. I've got you on mute. I don't see why I have to answer you. I have a lot of people on mute. If I don't like what they've got to say to me, I just put them straight on mute. And I thought, you arrogant son of a... I won't continue the rest. But you get my drift. And I thought, do you know what it is? This guy, I don't understand people who are still seeing him. And like I said before, I genuinely hope that they are getting help from him. I really do. Because if it ends up that they end up being screwed over the way he screwed over everybody else, then all I can say to them is, look, we have a place here for you. You can come here and we'll support you and we'll look after you. Because that's what we're all about. We want to stretch out the hand of friendship, don't we? We want to make people welcome here. We want to make them feel that they're not alone, because that's always been my biggest message. Apart from trying to make people smile and laugh. And I don't know if I've done a great deal of that recently, to be quite honest with you. I don't know why that seems to have failed me. But, you know, my main message is that nobody should ever feel alone. Ever. And it's horrible when you've been alone. And I mean, I've been there. But as I said to you the other week, I don't feel as alone anymore, because I know I have you and you have me. But more importantly, you've got each other. And that's why I encourage you to talk to each other, because it's so important to get that dialogue going, and to not to make people feel self-conscious. If someone's got something to say, and if you want to say something, speak. Don't hold back. And it is a huge gift to me, you know, when people start talking. It's fantastic, and I absolutely love it. And, you know, I really, really do. It means the whole world to me and more. It really does. So, I think that's about where I wanted to leave it, really. It's just short compared to some of the other ones I've popped out recently. But I thought you deserved a break, instead of having me yakking in your ear for the half an hour or 40 minutes or whatever length of time it is that I tend to yak on. Please would you tell me if there's any other topics that you'd like me to cover. You know, please tell me down in the comments. And also, please tell me if you are happy when you are in a low moment, and if you want something to cling on to. And if I haven't put a video up recently that you can watch, if you've saturated with the ones that you've already seen, then if you are happy to adopt just finding it on YouTube, Message in a Bottle by The Police, and if you think that is a good choice for a song for us, we're not breaking copyright, I'm not playing it, you know, out loud for everybody to hear. You know, I've told you where you can find it. It's on YouTube, Message in a Bottle by The Police. I think it's particularly apt for our haven. But if you have any other suggestions, please tell me. And, you know, I'm not going to say no. We'll ask everybody else and see how everybody else feels. Because we're a democracy. Okay? And we're a happy democracy. And we're a loving, friendly, supportive democracy in here. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to say I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.